Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Monday. I am joined by John Doyle, Blaze TV contributor and host of Heck Off Commie, along with Logan Hall, Blaze Media's digital strategist. And this is the Zoomer Show.
Yeah, thank you for joining us on the Patriot Power Hour. We're going to get into a lot of different news topics today. Logan, what did we have lined up? Something about they're all going back, something about...
Yeah, we have something about President Trump, the golden age, all of the how many mass deportations we're going to have to conduct, all the fun stuff.
So we'll talk
all
about
of them.
A lot of policy. We'll talk about a lot of digital strategy, and then when it comes time to talk about shoes, I guess you can.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. What? No, go back to the right there. Well, actually, it's interesting that you bring that up. The topic of deportations and illegal immigration. It is Cinco de Mayo.
It is,
which I just would like to remind everyone, 9 years ago today, President Trump reposted this. He said, "This was so wonderful 9 years ago today. I can't believe it was 9 years ago that he posted on Twitter. Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill." I love Hispanic.
So good.
It's so good. I think that's my favorite tweet that he's ever posted. I don't know. It's hard.
There's a lot to choose from.
It's hard. It really is hard. I have The Art of the Tweet, the book. Have you guys seen that? It's literally just a coffee table book of just Trump tweets.
The problem with that is
so good.
That omits so many just key bangers. I mean, there was the whole saga in 2012 when he was commenting on Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson's relationship. There's literally a Trump tweet for everything.
Yep.
His anti-shark sentiment, it just literally everything.
Wait, I don't know if I remember that one.
Yeah, you got to get into the deep lore with it. It's he was. And this is what was funny too, is because when that affair rumor with what was her name,
Stormy Daniels?
Yeah, and she said in a deposition or something that Trump would make her watch Shark Week with him or something. And then if you go back, Trump had this week-long tirade just tweeting about how much he hates sharks just for no reason. And then people were what's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. And then his final tweet was don't worry, they were here long before us and they'll be here long after we're gone. And it's just, someone was reposting that, there's a tweet for everything.
Yeah, it's good to see.
I think my favorite is, I hope the United States never finds life forms on another planet, because then we'll start sending them money. Yeah, there's a lot to go through.
There really are a lot of good ones. But happy Cinco de Mayo if you're looking for a good taco salad, taco bowl.
Why did you remember that?
Trump Tower Grill. What do you mean?
It's like that scene in
He's so excited.
It's like that scene in Inglourious Bastards when they're in the pub and he says 3 and he holds it up like that, and it's wait a minute. It's Sara Gonzales, happy Cinco de Mayo, and it's oh.
Well, we love our based Hispanics,
yeah,
okay, but we don't love the illegals.
Okay? I'm also not an anchor baby.
Important distinction there.
Thank you. Yeah, not an anchor baby either. Which, come on, John. Do you have a mug that says support your local ICE raids?
No, but I spend 3 hours on the phone every day supporting my local ICE raids.
So, by the way, you can get that at saramerch.com. Pick that up. So, on that topic, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is launching a new initiative to pay illegal immigrants to leave the country voluntarily. So now they're saying, we'll send you on a flight, free flight, okay? I don't think you're going to get first class. I hope that it's Spirit. I hope that it's the bottom of the barrel. We don't want to spoil these people for breaking the law. So airfare and $1,000 stipend if they self-deport using the CBP Home app, which, remember, used to be the CBP One app to come in. Now it is the CBP Home app. ET, phone home, go back, please don't come back. And so they said that this is going to save taxpayers significantly, because it would cost $4,500 per person compared to over $17,000 that we are spending for arrest, detention, and then, of course, the forced removal.
That's bare minimum, too. That's not people who stay there their whole lives and get welfare and tax benefits and healthcare stuff. So
yes. Yeah. This is literally just to get them out. Yeah. So let's go ahead and play DHS Secretary Kristi Noem talking about this earlier today. Watch.
To you. So Fox News can report exclusively that DHS will announce today that they're going to start paying for the commercial flights of illegal aliens who self-deport from the U.S. And on top of that, they're going to pay them an additional $1,000 stipend once they're confirmed to have left the country. Now, DHS says doing this is going to be significantly cheaper for the American taxpayer. They tell us that right now it costs on average about $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. They say paying for self-deportations and the stipend will only cost about $4,500 per person. That's about 70% cheaper. Aliens are going to have to register to self-deport on the new CBP
Where's Kristi Noem?
to access that DHS financial assistance, as well as announce
she
their
appear?
intent to leave the country. DHS
No?
Secretary Kristi Noem tells Fox
There
in
she
part,
is.
quote, "If you are here illegally, self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest."
Listen, that's more than fair. Okay, you came into our country, you broke our laws, you continue evading capture, and still President Trump is kind and gracious enough to be like, you know what? Let's let bygones be bygones. I'll pay you $1,000 and give you a free flight back home. That's way more generous than I probably
Donald the
would.
Merciful. I mean, that's what they call him. He famously very good temperament, very well-adjusted sort of guy.
Stable genius.
Yeah, you could even say such about him. And, you know, I didn't know that things were going to get this good because if you've read like any serious immigration policy paper or whatever in the last 30 years, they all say that, like, practically speaking, if you want the most amount of people to leave the country, you're going to need to just offer them straight up money to leave the country. And a lot of them will, because they, turns out, don't actually value America as a home, just as sort of an economic zone from which they can extract money, which you pay for. And so, yeah, if I have to pay $1,000 of my tax fund and it goes there as opposed to, what was it, $4,500 just for the deportation, not even talking about the $80 billion annual cost that these people, and that was even pre-Biden invasion. So, yeah, this is not only saving money, but it's also just getting them out, which is very important, because as much as I would like there to be sort of like, I don't know, checkpoints or something, it's probably not going to happen. I don't know if the public has the stomach for it.
Camps.
So, something like this can be done very quickly and efficiently, and it can get people out. And then you also have something of like a registration in terms of how many are actually going out, which can help your, I guess, overall numbers and goals. So, yeah, I'm optimistic about this. I saw some people who, you know, hate themselves say something like, oh, this is like backtracking because we said it was going to be, and it's like, dude, do you want to make America great again, or do you want to like play with action figures? Most people just want to play with action figures. They just want to be like, and then Trump does this, and it's like, that's not how the world works. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's cutting off the spigot for these people is a huge priority, because, as he said, they see it as an economic zone. So if you take away the benefits and all the incentives, I mean, the incentives are for them to come here and live on the taxpayer dime. If you cut that out,
and then send our money back home.
yes, and then send the remit. Yeah, you can tax on remittances is another huge thing I would love to see. But it is very crucial to understand, as you were alluding to, that throughout history, if people invade your country, break your laws, and violate your sovereignty, the punishment is going to usually be a lot more severe than us just giving you a little stipend and bringing you back home.
Right.
This is very, very lenient. This isn't even a moderate position. This is a liberal position, and it's good that we should get them out of here. But it's also crucial to understand, Democrats are so evil that they created an app for foreigners to invade our country. It's like, this stuff is so unbelievable. The lengths that they will go to try to destroy us in America it's shocking. And last but not least, I will say, one of my favorite things that President Trump said was, he said, they're not sending their best. We're told by all these pro-immigration people that they're sending elite human capital and these future astronauts and
That's why they have to cross illegally.
Yeah, and all these engineers who are going to come in and benefit us and contribute to the economy. I'm not seeing a lot of that around here. These are people who don't seem to have a lot of skills and just want to leech and become parasites on the American taxpayer, and enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get to the point where it's just, there's no such thing as pressing to hear the phone prompts in Spanish.
Yeah,
you don't need to. That's not. Yeah, that's not a thing.
I want so much less traffic, a noticeable decline in traffic.
Yes. Well, so we had local elections this weekend, and we went to go vote, and it just reminded me, as I walk up there now. Don't be confused. They didn't ask me this because my last name's Gonzalez, okay? I walk up there because they ask you guys, right? They ask my very white husband in the control room. And they always say they're legally required to ask you when you go up there, you present your ID, you like sign for it. And then they say, would you like your ballot in English or Spanish? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
If you can't read English, I don't want you voting. You shouldn't have a say in any of this. If you are so lazy that you come to this country and you cannot be bothered to learn the language of the native people, you have absolutely no business in trying to interject your opinion on my elections. Period.
So true.
Because it's crazy.
We have major problems with our immigration system. One being that they're not assimilating whatsoever. They're actually bringing their own ethnic problems and cultures and traditions here instead of assimilating to the traditional American ways of life. Yeah. This is a major issue. Teddy Roosevelt said, I love a lot of his quotes about this, but he said, there is no room in this country for hyphenated Americanism. Anyone who is like something as well as an American is not a good American at all. He said it would be disastrous for our country to become this melting pot. Well, you know, they tell us we're a melting pot. He said it would be disastrous if we were to become this land of a bunch of squabbling nationalities. And that's what, you know, we have a lot. Major parts of the country have become.
And why? Because we make it very comfortable for them.
Yeah, we should
because we cater to them.
Rather uncomfortable. And the way you know this too, because I mean, how would you even quantify like assimilation when you think about it? Like one might expect it to look like white picket fences and apple pies. Maybe some libtards have a more lenient definition. The simplest thing is, how are they expressing themselves politically? If you arrive at a new country and your first thought is, I would like to express myself politically in alignment with the Revolutionary Party, the Democrats, the ones that want to change everything, not the ones that want to conserve it, then no, you're not assimilated. You're actually the opposite. You are coming in and you're joining up with the libtards to destroy the country. That's not a love of the country. It's coming in and saying how it exists in its present form, I know as an Indian or a Chinaman or wherever, is not sufficient and it has to be completely changed. It's like, no, you don't love the country. You're just completely exploiting it and you want us to pay for that, like the American, tax chattel. So yeah, they all have to go back.
They're very, very, very comfortable. They actually need to be a lot more uncomfortable. Imagine if I, as an American, showed up in China and then I went up to a Chinese person and I said, actually, I'm just as Chinese as you. And China is just an idea. And all the founding fathers of China wanted China to be as diverse and multicultural as possible. No, but that's what's happening to us. And we somehow allow this as like, this somehow enriches us and benefits us. No, this is, your country will be destroyed. Another old, great Trump tweet. He said, if you're weak on immigration, you will ensure Democratic victory forever. Mm-hmm. And that's
mm-hmm. So true. I like that you just went full circle and brought us back to the Trump tweets. That was good. That was good. So, but to Logan's point, before we go to break, to Logan's point earlier, the 17,000 or, just for capturing them and removing them, there was a study that was released in March of 2023. So you have to believe that it's only gone up from where this study was. Okay. They said that illegal immigration, when you take into account factors like emergency medical care, incarcerating these illegals. But I thought they were only here in search of a better life. No, they're criminals, incarcerating them in local jails and the welfare system. The net annual cost. So every year, they list this as at $150.7 billion with a B dollars, $1 billion. And that was back in 2023. Add on to that the millions more that came in under Joe Biden. And that's nuts. Yep. That's your money that does not have to be spent. And they just chose to open the floodgates.
Yeah, immigration is literally the only issue that matters.
So true.
I mean, you would be surprised. I could explain to you how the immigration that this country's experienced in the last 30 years has affected everything from your house, your housing market, to even the kinds of films that are produced by Hollywood. Do you think we're like in a stuck culture? It just doesn't quite feel like it used to be, America. Fertility rates, even everyone's like, why aren't we having kids anymore? Maybe we can pay people. If you have to pay people to have kids, it's already over. Like that's never worked historically. The reason people, and this is totally, a sidebar, but the reason people have kids is because they're like, wow, what a nice country. I bet there's a future. I'm invested. Imagine being a young American family going to a place like Disney World, kind of a stepping stone for young American families. Everyone's got to go once. And you go and you see the kinds of people that do you really think they feel, and it's not, most people are not like consulting the balance sheet and being like, can we afford another kid? It's usually just like vibes, like, hey, let's figure it out, let's have a kid. People are experiencing the vibes where they're going to an airport or an amusement park or a shopping mall. It does not feel like their country anymore. That's not because people are walking around with blue hair and nose rings. The 90s and the 2000s were awesome, okay? Yeah, it's because everyone's walking around and they're wearing weird garbs and speaking in foreign tongues, and they're rude.
Yeah.
And so, we need them all to go back, and you're going to see a baby boom like we just demolished Europe or something.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to, pet peeve of mine, because it's not just, I think it's important to point out, it's not just people, it's not just Hispanics, right? We're talking about people, whether they're from India.
Beyond Hispanics.
Right. Whether they're from India and they have different cultures, whether they are practicing Sharia law and want to come here and create their own Muslim compounds. Like, there's a lot more than just these people coming from, some Hispanic or Latin American country. And I mean, it even just to talk about how pervasive this is. At our old house, I don't care if I'm politically correct. At our old house, we lived in an area where the grocery store that I went to was much more, it was like a hippie-ish, I don't want to name it because I don't want people to like go start trying to find me. And they had a lot of bulk items. And so what I noticed when I went there, almost every single time I went there, and I bought from the bulk items until I saw it was always an Indian person open the bulk bin, put their dirty ass hands in the bin, grab some of the food and eat it. And I started looking into it because I was like, why the hell is this always Indian people who are doing this? Well, that's fine in their country. They don't have like proper sanitation. They don't wash their freaking hands.
Yeah,
they have street markets.
Some of the rivers in India have some of the largest deposits of human feces in the world.
So it's like, so we're talking about something like, I mean, we can talk about the violent criminals and the gangs and like they want to decapitate you because you guys have like a disagreement about something trivial, and that all exists. But it's even as pervasive as just like you can't go to the grocery store and get food that hasn't been infested with germs. Like
they are everywhere. And this is what Trump got a lot of flack for this from saying he said that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. The fake news is very upset about that, but he's absolutely right.
It's true.
Because like with Hispanics, on the one hand, I'm a little bitter because it was like their mass influx, which enabled Democrats to kind of solidify voting power because they were voting, overwhelmingly Democrat for so long and have since pivoted more to Trump, though I think it's like 50-50 at best. So I'm, a little bitter about that. But then also like compared to like the behaviors of other people, I mean, what do they do? Like sometimes they drive through downtown in the lowrider, just like blasting. Like, okay, that's not so bad. But then the other night I went to go see, what did we go see? I think the new like autistic Ben Affleck movie, The Accountant. And there were these two Hispanics next to me who would not stop talking. And I kind of like had this thought where I was like, hey, like I know that like black people are kind of in hot water right now, but like
you guys,
don't think that you get.
Well, that's different too because it's also different because on the Hispanic thing, there were at least Hispanics have some roots here, right?
Yeah.
They fought wars in Texas.
Sure.
They've been around Arizona and California and some of the western states. At least some of them can claim that they have some roots and ties to this country or to this land. When you bring in people from like halfway across the world,
right,
that is way radically different than bringing some like Tejano from south of the border.
Yeah.
That is a completely different scenario. And don't even get me started on if you want to we're not even allowed to say this, but if you bring someone over from Europe, for instance, is it going to be easier for that person to assimilate than it would be for a Haitian?
Right.
I think so, probably.
Yeah.
But our immigration system doesn't really make any differentiation between these two. It's almost like they're just trying to destroy us and destroy our country.
Yeah, I mean, because don't forget, I mean, we're talking about just the culture, but remember the Democrats have picked up like quite a bit of seats, congressional representation because of this influx of people. So it is, of course, in their best interest politically to continue to do that, which obviously
they want to bring as many Ilhan Omars here as they possibly can, and that should say it all.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We will be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So if you guys are not with Patriot Mobile, I don't know what you're doing giving your money to Big Mobile. What Big Mobile does is they go out and they fund left-leaning causes that we are fighting. If you're watching the show and you like the show, you are fighting against these left-leaning causes that they're, donating to Planned Parenthood or trying to take your guns or all of these left-leaning causes. Patriot Mobile is doing the opposite. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they're going to give you a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or convenience because they have the same nationwide coverage as those other 3 big mobile carriers, but you are going to be knowing, that you are giving your money to a company that is politically aligned, and they do take a portion of that bill and they donate it to, of course, causes that you support and believe in. So you're not going to get an interruption in your service. You can keep your number if you'd like. You can do it any way you want. They've got all sorts of customization, and odds are they're going to save you money. So all I'm telling you to do is go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. You'll get a free month of service with promo code Sarah, but just go check out their plans and go add up what you're spending now. Go check it out. They're probably going to save you money, and you know that you are not going to be funding the left and all of their evil. patriotmobile.com/Sarah, promo code Sarah. So you will notice in the mainstream media that these people are trying to pretend like they didn't see that Joe Biden was declining right before their very eyes. What are you talking about? No, Joe Biden was totally fine. And it's been interesting to watch them simultaneously try to attack Trump for literally anything they possibly can, including his mental acuity, which is hilarious for them to do. But then you also have them like, I saw no signs of Joe Biden's decline. This is news to me. This is such a surprise to me. And I want to play, of course, MSNBC's new media darling, of course, poor man Peppermint Patty Jen Psaki, former press secretary under Joe Biden, saying, I didn't see anything. I have no idea what all these people are talking about. Watch.
I left in May of 2022, just for the facts here. And I have seen Biden once since then, when I took my daughter to the holiday party this last December after he had lost. And so I hadn't seen him in person during that period of time. I never saw that person, not a single time. And I was in the Oval Office every day that was on that debate stage. I'm not a doctor. Aging happens quite quickly. Were things that people saw during that period of time that were similar to that or would have been in a category of that? I don't know, possibly, right? And all these books are going to tell.
She had no idea. She doesn't. Aging happens quite quickly, overnight, I guess.
Yeah, this is my favorite line from the Democrats on this issue is they're saying, "Oh, we didn't know about his mental decline until it was debate night." It's like, no, anyone who was paying even a little bit of attention knew he wasn't fit when he was running. Yep. I mean, before they even fortified the election, he was completely gone. Mm-hmm. He was, I think he did the if you don't vote for me, you ain't black sort of thing. Yeah, he was making these gaffes. Oh, they would say it was a gaffe or a stutter. Uh-huh. That's the way that they were covering it. And it's so shameless, but you have to admire the Democrats will do whatever it takes for power. And it should just serve as a reminder. This is how dedicated these people are. They will install a literal vegetable to wreck your country and import 30 million illegals. Mm-hmm. Just so they can feel good about themselves. It's very sad. I don't think Joe Biden. The real tragedy of Joe Biden is that he worked his entire life to become the president.
To be the president.
And by the time he wasn't. He was already gone.
Like he was, but he wasn't. Right. It was his name on the placard there, but he was not the one calling the shots.
That's like one of those old tales, and like you make a wish with a genie or something, or it's like a Twilight Zone episode. Like you will become the president, but you won't even be aware that you're the president, and also everyone's going to hate you, and you're going to do a horrible job. I think they're trying to distance themselves from that. I mean, it's easy for them to criticize Biden now. Like no one likes him. He's blamed for the loss, and so you can get away with criticizing Biden and say, well, it's because he's stupid that he lost. It wasn't because Americans rejected his political platform. It was just because he didn't execute it properly because, he was a little bit slow. And so they can do that and then get away with then doubling down on their political platform, writing off the loss as just a fluke that occurred because we just didn't have the right guy and it was too late to get people to like Kamala. And so this will allow them to just continue on the trajectory that they've been on, which is very good for patriots because people hate it. And we may actually be able to reverse the ship. Like, as Logan talked about, the temperament of the average conservative is very much like, I just want to be left alone. I don't need like power. I've got too much other stuff to do. The problem with that is then you've got a whole political party that is designed around that temperament, which wants to be left alone, which means when it's going up against somebody who doesn't want to be left alone, quite often it is caught off guard and it's easy to defeat that political party. And so we are quickly learning that that is a losing strategy, and I think that we may just make it out of it.
Patriots are wide awake right now. Okay, that's the
right.
good thing. Patriots are wide awake now. I think one of my things that I find hilarious is that a mentally retarded Joe Biden was actually a better candidate than Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
I don't know if
so
I don't know if the Democrats have realized that yet. They're saying, I saw in the Hill today that they said Democrats are cautious, but there's still some feeling that Kamala is going to get the nomination in 2028, and if she does,
no,
if she does, yeah, I
that
hope so.
would be
Yeah, please
terrible.
don't do that. Please
I'm
don't nominate her
so
again.
scared
Democrats.
of that.
But if they do that and they learn nothing, JD Vance is going to be the next president of the United States, and the
final president.
I can promise you, they are not going to like that very much.
That was what's so funny is after like the debate performance, Biden's polling dropped 2 points. Like everybody already was not excited about this guy, and then
That was baked into the cake at that point.
and it dropped 2 points, and it was like, oh, it's over. Like it was already over, and like that just, I guess, made it more apparent.
Yeah, well, I mean, but then comes the other issue, which I really think we need to not lose sight of what they did, because it wasn't just running a vegetable and then deciding at the last minute. Like, they literally had someone in there that they knew could not make the decisions. And for all that they claim to care about democracy, I understand that we are not, like, this is not a democracy, but they sure use that word a lot. And they sure act like voting, we want a democracy, we want power, power to the people, we want to be represented. But okay, well, the guy that you guys voted in was not making any of the decisions. Like, that's so, I mean, you had an auto pen. Right? That is so egregious that this party did that was not power to the people. Those people had no say in who was actually calling the shots. That's a giant scandal that I think everyone has just been fine just putting to rest, that I don't think we should. Like, people need to go to prison for this.
I agree, but it was a long national nightmare, and I think people, upon President Trump's
you're right.
return,
You're right.
we want to put those terrible 4 years
You're right.
out of our minds. The funny thing that you talked about with democracy and power of the people, Kamala Harris made her triumphant return recently and did a speech for about like 12 minutes or something at some California event. And she said, it's important to remember that this country belongs to us. It belongs to we the people. It's like, okay, well, who is we the people? Is it the 20,000 Haitians that you just dumped on Ohio? Do they count? Are they Americans? Does the country belong to them? No. When they get a taste of a little bit of, and I'm no fan of democracy, by the way.
Right. Yeah, no, me either.
I think we should severely restrict
I agree.
in this country. But when they get a little taste of democracy on our side, and Trump wins the popular vote, he wins all 7 swing states, then it's a crisis.
All of a sudden, yeah.
All of a sudden, we have to take this guy out. And they're already saying they're going to impeach him again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What is the reason again?
There's a guy that was born in India, and for some reason we made him a congressman, and so of course he's trying to.
It's the illegals.
A Star Wars name.
Star
Wars name,
God,
congressman.
Logan, that was so funny.
So he is, yes, immediately trying to impeach the president, whom a majority of American, like U.S.-born citizens voted for, which is
Actual American.
crazy. Yeah.
No. But really, you have the Democrat Party trying to impeach a duly elected president. It was a mandate, okay? Popular vote, also electoral college, trying to impeach a president for trying to rid the country of illegal criminals.
It's because it's because
I can't get over it.
It's just because they're evil and retarded, and you can find another explanation, but it's not going to be as succinct as that. I mean, it's just adding more words and clouding what is so obvious, which is that these people are evil and retarded.
It'd be one thing if they were competent and evil, then you'd be like, okay, well, I can at least like respect this and understand like there's a little bit of reasoning behind the process and why they're so terrible. But no, they insist on being terrible and retarded. It's the worst possible combination.
They're evil, incompetent. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You go side with those guys. That looks like fun.
So, well, speaking of evil and retarded, let's play Jasmine Crockett, who, when confronted about, this Biden decline cover up, she's like, yeah, but what about Donald Trump? Watch.
I'm gonna tell you this. People try to talk about the mental acuity of Joe Biden, and as someone who was able to interact with him, I never questioned his mental acuity. But come on now. Come on, like, you are crashing the economy. We are talking about record crashing of the stock market.
Are we? I asked for this. I don't know. I don't think that I have it, but I was asking for the Kristen Welker interview because she tried to do something similar. She's like, but what would you say to Americans who voted for you because of the economy and things are down? And he's like, gas, things are down. Gas prices are down. Grocery costs are down. All of these everyday expenses, energy is down on all fronts. All of these expenses are down.
Eggs
are down, even though there was a chicken genocide under Joe Biden. Eggs are down. All of these things are down. What you're trying to focus on me trying to correct the imbalance of trade? That's what you want to hone in on. Okay, I see you guys for exactly what you are. And they never seemed to have those questions when Joe Biden was forcing us into record levels of inflation. They never had those same questions. So it's so fascinating. By the way, Jasmine Crockett, pretty retarded.
Democrats. I wish you could. I just wish we could go back and play a video for George Washington or Thomas Jefferson of what Congress would eventually devolve into. I mean, our Congress is a joke. I think it's essentially useless. I think congressmen, for the most part, there might be like 2 or 3 good ones on our side. Most of them are just scoundrels and traitors and fraudsters. And I think the American people are sick. They didn't elect, one of these Congress people, one of these lame duck congressmen to impede Trump's agenda. Where are these Republicans in Congress? Where are they? What's going on? I think, they voted for Trump and gave him a mandate to enact his agenda. And the man is single-handedly trying to reverse 60 years of decline. Okay. So give him a little time.
Right. Exactly. They're like, well, but it's been 2 weeks since you've implemented this change and we haven't seen anything happen yet. What do you have to say for yourself?
I think if you could show that to George Washington, he would very quickly be about $500,000 richer.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take another quick break. We'll be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor this segment, Preborn. So Preborn, you know what? It's almost Mother's Day. So number 1, if you haven't gotten something nice for your mom, make sure you do so. But number 2, let's celebrate the gift of life this month by rescuing babies. I am partnering with Preborn to see how many babies we can save. Okay, this month of May, we need to make sure we're getting the most up-to-date information, but we have this goal, 600 ultrasounds, because Preborn is showing these scared mothers. They're showing them their babies on ultrasound. They're listening to the heartbeat. And over at a Preborn network clinic, these women are twice as likely to choose life when they go into a preborn clinic. So we're asking you to help us sponsor the ultrasounds. 1 ultrasound is $28, 5 ultrasounds, $140. And every single penny is going to go towards loving mothers and babies well. And of course, saving babies' lives. I can't think of anything more noble. If you have the money to donate to a cause, please help us get to 600 ultrasounds this month. You can help by going to preborn.com/Sarah, even if it's just 1 ultrasound, $28. That's the difference between life and death of a baby. Preborn.com/Sarah. Well, speaking of giving President Trump some time, let's let things breathe, okay? You had President Trump just yesterday proposing a 100% tariff on all foreign-made movies, saying that this is a national security issue in response to foreign propaganda. Which this actually fascinates me because he said, let's pull up that Truth Social. Yep, the movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the USA are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I am authorizing the Department of Commerce and United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. And so obviously, like, this is not just to protect jobs, but it goes to what we've been talking about this whole episode, which is protecting our culture. And I want to let's listen to President Trump on that.
The movie tariffs.
Yeah, the movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movies, the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week, and we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an incompetent, grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen, so I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying, if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense. And it's been a very popular thing. I can tell you one thing, movie makers love it.
Now, listen, Hollywood hates this guy, right? So once again, the benevolent Donald Trump strikes again. Yeah, the merciful Donald Trump strikes again. These people have called for his assassination. These people held up his, a fake head of his, like they had just cut his head off. I mean, these people despise this guy.
You forget the brave and heroic George Clooney had to write after he saw Joe Biden's decline in firsthand. He had to say that Joe Biden had to get off the ticket.
That's a great point.
That was one of the acts of bravery from Hollywood.
That's a great point. Thank you so much, George Clooney.
I did ask that.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know it until right in that moment when Joe Biden was on stage. There were no other clues that we could use to know that. And so, it's interesting to watch it. I don't disagree with the guy. I would say that I think that we need to start deregulating some of these industries. We need to make it probably easier for some of these. I don't know enough about the movie industry to know if that's one of them. All I do know on that topic is that we have some legislators in Texas who are trying to make it easier for Hollywood to come here. And I'm like, the hell we want these people here. I don't want those people here. They don't share my values. So how do you navigate that without welcoming more of their shitty culture in Hollywood?
This one first.
I was just going to say, generally, I think that I agree with you, Sarah, and that filmmaking should be more accessible. We alluded to this earlier with, like, we're in the stuck culture, but when people think of, like, American culture, they think of entertainment, this, like, larger than life, Hulk Hogan, Hollywood,
Top Gun,
things like that. Yeah. And we are sort of recycling these old franchises, like even with Top Gun. We're not really, like, doing anything good. And there actually are, believe it or not, a lot of really talented right-wing artists and filmmakers who are looking to be successful, but they're unable to because obviously they're going to be gatekept from these, like, larger studios. Mm-hmm. And so insofar as it's easier for them to make the films that they want to make and distribute them to a mass audience, like, that's going to be good for us. And I'm sure that that is somewhat in alignment with, the general vector of, like, America First policies and, doing what Trump is doing. So I would be supportive of it for that alone. But then also when you think about the temperament of Donald the Merciful, again, doing favors for industries which have persecuted him because it's probably the right thing to do by the American people. It's the same thing with a lot of the favors he's done for the pro-life movement, who a lot of their spokespeople were coming out against him, saying he was insufficiently pro-life despite the promises that he delivered on in his first administration, or libertarians who have been very critical of him in many cases, and then he gets in there and he pardons the Silk Road guy, he does XYZ, and so he consistently is, like, doing favors and doing right by people because it's the right thing to do, despite people saying he has bad temperament because he'll go on Twitter and, threaten to blow up a country every now and then. I mean, who among us, right? Sure. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I agree with Doyle. I think generally there needs to be more of a move within conservative or right-wing circles to support culture and start making your own culture. I know Trump has is doing some things on this front. He announced recently, some part of his administration, I forget which, announced that they are going to be commissioning artists for the National Garden of Heroes to make these statues to a lot of American icons, which I think is great. There needs to be a lot more on this from our side. You know, one thing that Democrats and liberals get and understand very well is that the producers of culture affect all of your every strata of society. And so Democrats give out patronage to a lot of their artists and people and activists on the ground that are doing this stuff, and then use that to advance their own message. So I think the right has to get a lot better at that. You know, there's nothing more radicalizing. One of the many radicalizing things about this current moment is going back and watching old movies and TV shows. If you watch movies from like I almost exclusively watch movies that are like 90s and 1980s now, because they're just so much better than any of the slop that's coming out nowadays. But if you watch like the old Christmas Vacation or Chevy Chase or Butch Cassidy or the Smokey and the Bandit I watched recently. These are phenomenal American movies, okay? Yeah. And part of the issue that Trump recognizes is that all of our movies a lot of them are slop, but a lot of them are indeed injected with a lot of this foreign influence. We have to have a person of every race and culture and creed in every movie now. All the superheroes look different and they're all from different parts of the world. This is not it doesn't present a coherent message to an audience. It doesn't look American. It's not what America used to be. America produced some of the greatest writers and movies and TV shows ever, like in the history of the world, the best entertainment and culture. And it's because it was American and it told American stories. I think this is a wonderful move. And I think maybe one way we could solve this and be a little quicker about it is just have Mel Gibson roll a couple tanks into Hollywood, California, and say we need to stop until we figure out what's going on.
Dude, it's getting so bad that it's making me miss the diversity of the 1980s, where you could tell like, white guy, black guy, Chinese guy. Now it's just like it's so ambiguous because everybody's like literally a melting pot. It's like you just hit shuffle on the human genome, and you can't even tell like what ethnicity they are or what race they are. And yes,
gender neutral,
all androgynous. So it's like literally you took every component of human DNA and just hit shuffle, and then there's your person on the, I don't even know if it'd be an actor or an actress. And so, yeah, I almost miss when it was like, okay, we got to have like black, white guy, buddy cop, like that sort of thing. Like I can live with that. I'll go back to that. I'm sorry. I was too greedy. I was too selfish. I see how bad it could be.
All right. Make sure you guys, by the way, are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up button. It'll help us in the algorithm, which, I mean, we did just get remonetized, but help us out anyway. And a comment that will help us out as well. And we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I remember when I was in San Francisco a very long time ago, and it was before it became a shithole. And we toured Alcatraz, and it was like the most fascinating thing to me. If you guys haven't gone, I mean, I don't know how you want to stomach going to San Francisco, but if you're ever there and you can manage to like navigate past all of the drug users on the streets and all of that, I highly recommend touring it. By the way, watch out for the human feces on the ground. But you may not be able to tour it for long because President Trump is now calling for the reopening and expansion of Alcatraz. And I believe that he gave an announcement on that as well, if we could play that.
Well, we gave some information on the plane. I think we covered everything carefully and in great detail. You probably have seen it. Have you seen the information from the plane?
I have, but just a couple of questions. Where did you get the idea for reopening Alcatraz?
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, you know, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, you know, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
There's a new sheriff in town. Go see it while you can.
He's right. I love how he says "frankly" too. It's just like this is one of the words he uses, but he's like, and it's quite a history, frankly. Like I know we're not supposed to say that, but there's quite a history. But no, it's about Americana, and nobody understands Americana better than Trump. Like opening the scary island prison again, just because why not? Because it's cool. I think that's very important for how the national consciousness sort of understands law and order and justice, especially in a place like San Francisco. But also the kinds of people that we need to put in Alcatraz are coming from parts of the world that are naturally very sort of superstitious. And so if they start hearing tales about this island in the foggy bay where you'll be sent never to return, they're going to like leave. They're going to go far away. They're going to go back to where they came from. So yeah, you need things like that are scary. And if we can't just straight up like be flogging people in public, we need the scary island prison that no one's ever escaped from, confirmed.
Why can't we flog people in public?
Good question. I think
in the SPLC and UN Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah, human rights.
Ugh.
Lamest thing ever. Yeah, I think America would actually be really, really well served if we brought back public flogging.
I agree. Honestly, honest to God, I agree.
Oh yeah, public
I'm not
floggings,
joking.
Tar and feathering. They used to tar and feather politicians. I mean, are you kidding me? Our problems would be solved if we could.
People need to be publicly shamed more.
You know, and credit to Trump voters who actually do still have some of that American spirit left in them. You know, whatever you want to say about January 6th, they went to go and confront the politicians who were aggrieving them.
1,000%.
And
they weren't, wait, you mean they weren't looting Nike stores and burning down cities? They were just taking their grievances to the place where they...
Straight to the
direct
problem.
source, right.
Straight to the problem.
Got it.
Yeah, and this is something that Trump understands better than any other politician I've ever seen, at least in my lifetime. He is a visionary. He doesn't just go along with like, okay, well, this is how the system is supposed to work, and like this is how everything has like operated for like the past few decades. No, he wants to shake things up and break up whatever this illegitimate, crumbling, disgusting regime is doing. And I think that's very important. You know, who else would propose buying Greenland for national security,
right,
or just so many of these tens of hundreds of things that Trump has proposed? Even if it's just like a silly little tweet or whatever, it wakes people up to think like, oh, we can actually think differently. Like, we don't have to just sit here and let the system stand as it is. We can reclaim our sovereignty and our destiny. And this is what Trump does so well. He does tap into that American spirit beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, it did me. It did wake me up. I mean, like what was happening with the Panama Canal and stuff. I mean, it's like, it's so easy to just write it off as a surface level, like, oh, that's just Trump being Trump again. But when I started reading more about it, and I was like, holy shit, like that's
literally the
crazy.
Only like forward-thinking presidents probably in any of our lifetimes, like talking about securing the Arctic, the Panama Canal, reopening Alcatraz, going in and exploring like the cosmos.
A golden dome for America.
Yeah.
This guy is thinking about the future. He's not just thinking about like, okay, I'm a neocon, I'm gonna do a tax cut. Okay, I'm a libtard, I'm gonna do like what do they always
or
do?
Gay race
infrastructure bill, and then maybe some more sodomy. Yeah, no, it's like this is a guy who's like, okay, you kids have fun. We're going to go make America great again, you know, that way.
Yeah, I mean, it really has been fascinating to watch. The left wants to write it off so easily.
Great man of history. He is a great man of history. He will go down as a generational leader.
If the history books are written by people who are fair and unbiased, that's what I'm worried about. That's what we got to. That's what we got to check.
Those who are unfair and they'll be in Alcatraz.
They'll be in Alcatraz. We won't have to worry about it. We're writing the history books now, bitches. John Doyle, Logan Hall. Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.